Voldemort, the man who feared death more than anything. He wasn't just a dark wizard. He was someone who wanted to rise above nature itself, above time, above fate. He didn't seek power for power's sake. He wanted only one thing, to live forever. But Tom Riddle's story didn't begin with strength. It began with weakness. His mother, Merope Gaunt, used a love potion to keep his father by her side, hoping that one day he would love her for real. When she became pregnant, she believed the potion was no longer needed. That love would remain even without magic. But it didn't. Tom Riddle Sr. left her to die, and so a child was born into the world with no family, no care, no love. He grew up among muggles, whom he despised. He knew he was special, but no one around him could see it. No one except one man, Albus Dumbledore. At Hogwarts, Tom quickly proved he wasn't just talented. He was brilliant, smarter, more cunning, more powerful than the rest. But that wasn't enough. He didn't want to be just an exceptional student. He wanted to be more than human. He delved into the dark arts. He discovered Horcruxes, the ability to tear his soul apart to ensure his immortality. But there was a price. The more he shattered his soul, the less human he became. At some point, he was no longer Tom Riddle. That name tied him to his muggle father, to weakness. He cast it aside. Now, he was Voldemort. He built an army, sought relics of the past, reshaped his body, his soul, his very existence. He had decided he would become the greatest wizard in history, and he almost did. But then, he heard a prophecy. A child would be born, the one who could defeat him, Harry Potter. And so, he did what he had always done. He tried to eliminate the threat. But, ironically, that was his downfall. He fell, but he returned, stronger, crueler, more certain than ever that nothing could stop him now. But he failed to see the truth. He had already lost. Because his Horcruxes were his weakness. Because his followers feared him more than they respected him. Because in his world, there was no place for love. And without love, there was no loyalty. And in the end, as he stood before his final enemy, before Harry Potter, he was alone. Voldemort had spent his entire life trying to conquer death. But when his body hit the floor of Hogwarts, when his wand betrayed him, he finally understood. Death had conquered him. Freddy Krueger, a nightmare made real. A maniac, a killer, a monster from dreams. Freddy Krueger became the embodiment of fear for an entire generation. Burned alive but never truly dead, he returned from a place no living soul had ever walked. Now, he hunts in a world where there is no escape, in the dreams of his victims. But how did an ordinary man become a figure so terrifying that even the bravest fear him? The roots of his cruelty lie in his past. Freddy was born from violence and was branded as the son of 100 maniacs. He spent his childhood in an orphanage where he was bullied by other children and beaten bloody by his stepfather. The brutality he endured became a part of him. As he grew, he turned into a child murderer, hiding behind the quiet yet unsettling image of a janitor. When the truth came to light, enraged parents burned him alive. But death was not his end. It made him stronger. Ancient forces granted him a new existence, one beyond human limits. Now, he could invade dreams, killing his victims inside their own minds. His glove of razor-sharp blades became his weapon of torment, and his raspy laughter, the last sound his victims would ever hear. By the time of A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger had become the embodiment of terror. He was not a man, not a ghost, not a demon. He was darkness itself, capable of twisting reality. Those who tried to stop him only gave him new ways to toy with his victims. But like any villain, he had a weakness: fear. If a victim stopped fearing him, he lost his power, and time after time, this led to his downfall. But Freddy Krueger is not one to disappear forever. He will always find a way back, because fear is eternal. Jigsaw, or rather John Kramer, the man who turned death into an art. John Kramer didn't just kill, he gave people a chance. His victims were never random. He chose those he believed did not value life. Alcoholics, drug addicts, criminals, liars. They all found themselves trapped in his brutal tests, where the only escape was through suffering. It all started with loss. John was a successful engineer, a man with a family, but one day his life crumbled. His wife, Jill, lost their unborn child after being attacked by a drug addict. Then John himself was confronted with the inevitable. He was diagnosed with terminal cancer. In despair, he attempted suicide, but survived. And in that moment, he had a revelation. People do not value life until they are faced with death. So he decided to change the world in his own way. He built traps that turned death into a lesson. His victims could survive, but only if they proved they were willing to fight for their lives, by cutting off a part of themselves, enduring unbearable pain, and overcoming their deepest fears. Those who succeeded were reborn. Over time, his methods became even more intricate. He did not kill with his own hands. He built a system. Apprentices, carefully planned sequences, psychological precision. Even after his death, he continued to control the game. Police officers, FBI agents, ordinary people, they all fell into his web, because even in death, John Kramer remained in play. Pennywise, fear given, form a killer clown, a monster from nightmares, the embodiment of terror. He doesn't just scare, he feeds on fear. Children are his favorite prey, for their fear is pure, genuine, and overwhelmingly strong. And fear is power, his sustenance, his very existence. But who was he before becoming the nightmare of Derry? The answer is simple. He has always been. Pennywise is merely a shell, a mask hiding an ancient evil. He arrived on Earth millions of years ago, long before humanity, and has awakened every 27 years to hunt ever since. He can take any form, but most often appears as a clown, cheerful, friendly, yet with empty, dead eyes. That's how he lures children in. He knows their fears and turns them against them. He becomes their worst nightmares, invades their minds, plays with them, making them fear even more. But even a monster can know fear. The only thing that threatens him is belief. When children begin to resist, when they stop being afraid, he loses his power. That is his curse. Pennywise will return because fear never dies.